guys, this is Love from Level Up Consulting Firm. It's chilly in here, so please don't mind my overthrow. This is actually a jacket, one of my most comfortable jackets too. So I wanted to speak with you all today about research. Now, I know being a part of some Facebook groups and being a part of different communities online, they do give you some resources, right? So we're there to ask each other questions and just sort of build on certain knowledge that we have. However, a major part of being an entrepreneur is being able to research. So you really have to ask yourself, like, okay, well, what if someone deletes this Facebook group tomorrow? Will my business be self-sufficient? If a certain website, like, there's always glitches with like Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, right? So what if there was an update that wasn't installed properly and all of these resources that you had, you can no longer use? You have to be self-sufficient in your brand. This is not talking about people who you hire to do a certain task. It's not referring to people who you consult because you've paid them to consult with them, like Level Up Consulting Firm, for instance. Not talking about that. But asking questions that you can easily Google can be a detriment to you, especially if you're just taking their word for it and running with it. If anything, if you ask a question, make sure that you've already done some research on your own, and then you come and ask the question to see what people have already done. But for you to make that your primary source of information, just going to someone else and figuring out, oh, well, what did they do? Well, how did you do this? Well, what website did you use? Like, goodness, people really put in work. And to be honest with you, I would take offense to something like that if somebody continuously asked me questions about business and they weren't willing to pay me. Like, you have to be willing to invest in your brand, invest in yourself. And sometimes part of that investment is speaking with somebody who can give you the rundown on various things, And I'm not saying that means that you have to go and pay for every piece of information that you receive. But if someone says, oh, okay, I have this resource, but I do charge this fee, and they always give out free game, don't be offended by that, and don't feel like, oh, well, they're trying to be funny or they're just trying to get money out of me. Like, no, you're the one that's wrong. You're the one that wants free information. That person doesn't want to give it to you. So look it up, right? And then, like I said again, make sure even if you do ask questions, you go and do your own research. Another thing that I recently saw was people were asking questions about LLCs and other different types of business documentation. Now, when it comes to documents, it varies from state to state, right? Which means if I live in North Carolina versus if I live in Texas versus if I live in South Carolina versus if I live in California, all of our prices are going to be different. All of the property taxes are different. All of the taxes in general for businesses are different. The laws concerning businesses are different. Like some states, I know in New York, if you want to be a street vendor, you have to get a license for that. Like, you cannot be caught selling something without you getting fined or, ticketed or whatever, right? So you want to be mindful of that. Like, I know in the state of North Carolina, they're not as strict with things like that. So people don't really need a formal business license in order to operate a brand. So one of the things as well, sometimes people say, oh, I want to get a business license, but sometimes you don't need a business license specifically for what you want. You may just need an LLC so that you can be registered as a corporation. And if anybody were to sue you or you just needed to use the formal business name, you could do that instead of someone coming after Charlie Wilson, whatever. So definitely keep that in mind. Do your research. Just know that things are different from state to state. So although, I may have paid $250 for my LLC, your fee may be different. You may have to pay $300 or you may have to pay less, but it's going to vary based on where you live. Also, make sure that you know the laws of your state. Like, look at what business you want to own and operate and figure out, okay, is this something that I can even do legally? right? Because the thing is, sometimes we think that we can do a business legally, and then we found out later on, after we put money into a logo, put money into a website, put money into hiring people, you know, brand ambassadors. We've given away some free paraphernalia, you know, t-shirts, and we are getting all of these things made, and that's wonderful, you know, but you have to make sure that what you're doing is legal, because if not, you could be shut down. I know there was a girl in one of the Facebook groups I'm in who, she was selling like Nike shoes or something like that, and one of the website platforms actually took her stuff down, and her site was at risk of being shut down if she didn't either remove the items or produce proof that she is an authorized retailer. Now, what does that mean? When you sell something owned by someone else, like Nike, Versace, Louis Vuitton, like people do it all the time, because there's a number of ways that you can get this stuff from like wholesale vendors. But just because it's accessible doesn't mean it's real, and it doesn't mean that you're legally able to sell it, right? So somebody could go on your website and report that, or one of the people who actually work at the website company could just be doing a check-in on your account and see that and shut your whole operation down. So then you're out of money. And what are you going to say? It really is illegal. And outside of that, these major companies could really sue you. And that would shut your whole operation down, right? Because then they're going to want to know, okay, well, who hosts her website? With all the technology that they have out here, they would be able to figure that out. So I just want you guys to be mindful of that. Like, make sure that what you're doing is legal. Make sure that when you sell something, even if you're selling something that's on the black market, look, I'm not here to judge. Make sure that you're covering yourself. Don't put it on a website where they could be sued for having your stuff up there, because this is the thing. Yes, they could easily try to turn a blind eye to it so that people could stay on their platform, but somebody can come for them and their brand as well because you have this certain item up there. So don't take it personally. This is like business in general, right? So keep that in mind. QR codes. Now this is different because QR codes are new, they're really cool, and people often put them on like their business cards so that people can just scan and book. But I don't think QR codes should be on digital products. And I say that because, yeah, theoretically they could be using a tablet or like a laptop for their platform, and so they could be scrolling and come across your business card and then be like, oh, I could use my phone to scan this or whatever, and then scan it. But 9 times out of 10, they're already on their cellular device. So like, how am I going to scan a QR code when that's not an available option to me? Does that make sense? Like, if I'm using my phone and the QR code is on my phone, how am I going to scan it? So that's how I look at those. So I feel like whatever you have in the QR code, put it in your bio. If you already have a link in your bio, create a link tree. If I'm not mistaken, it's linktr.ee. You just press enter, it'll bring up Linktree, and Linktree is a platform where you can literally have a link and it'll have all of the other links attached to your brand under that one link. So that means I can have my website there. If I have an ebook, that can be there. If I have a PDF that I want to add that's on a certain site, I can add that there, maybe a landing page, whatever the case may be. But all of that can be under that Linktree link, and so that way you can have several links, right? And I have Linktree on 2 of my Instagram pages, and then on my other Instagram page, I just have a website because there's nothing else attached to the brand besides that website. So just keep that in mind. I am not saying don't do it. I'm just saying make it make sense. So if you're going to use whatever digital business card that is to actually print and have it on future business cards, then I could see why you would have a QR code. If you're not doing that, I wouldn't recommend it. So business cards, you can do those yourself. Like, I can understand not doing your own logo. I have never done my own logo. I'm actually working on one right now, but sometimes I just like for other people to do it. Like, as I mentioned in my last video, well, not my last video, but the one before that, I was talking about my website and how the website for Level Up, I just didn't want to do it. Like, I really don't have much time, and I feel like my time right now is so valuable. I would rather pay somebody else to do that portion of the business, right? So with that being said, I'm paying this person to do the website, getting things done. So if you need to reach me, my information is in the description box. You can book me there, you can email me there, and as usual, the website will be launching on April 30th. I have to shout it out in every video until it launches, so please follow my Instagram page at lvlupconsultingfirm with updates, because I will be doing some giveaways on that day, okay? Bye.